Breaking news over on Dog Post. Bear Alexander, 5-star commit from Texas, has decommitted from the Bulldogs. I'll tell you what that means and more. Dean Legge from Dog Post. Powered this summer by Stuckey's. Bear Alexander, one of the premier players in college recruiting this cycle, came to Athens this past week. Really enjoyed it for all we could tell. And then going to Texas A&M over the weekend, decommitting to Georgia from Georgia on Monday. This is something that we've been talking about on Dog Post for a while. That Georgia was going to have a hard time keeping Bear Alexander, and I don't think that this means they're not going to get him. I just think that it means that the recruiting has really started for Bear Alexander. And if you listen to what Bear had to say, he's kind of got a point here. Okay, I'll just take the kids. I think you take the kid's word for it. The landscape of football has changed tremendously since I last visited schools, and although still one of my top choices, I'm decommitting from Georgia and reopening my recruitment. I want to thank Bulldog Nation, etc. Hey, look, he's right. I mean, everything has changed. This past weekend was the first time you got a chance to go visit other schools, or visit any schools, including Georgia, and he goes to A&M. I mean, there's a lot about Texas A&M that's really good. So they've got a lot to offer. I think for Georgia, it can't be ideal for one of the top players that you have committed to you. Go talk, take in the visit, hang out with Jordan Davis, etc. And then all of a sudden he goes to Texas A&M, and 48 hours later he's decommitted. If you remember on Dog Post, this is something that Matt DeBerry, our recruiting guru and specialist, has been talking about for some time. This is not going to be an easy recruiting game with Bear Alexander. And, you're talking about someone who's coming multiple states away through many Stuckey's, that's for sure, many old Stuckey's gas stations and new ones too, to Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. I mean, that's how far he's traveling to get to Georgia. I don't think this at all means that Georgia is out of play for Bear Alexander. I just think it means that, you take a step back. You got 11 kids committed: Bowie, Stark, Stockton, Walker, West, who is your only, sort of true defensive lineman, I guess. Groves, Killebrew, Washington, James, Morissette, Smith, and the punter, Thorson. So you've got an edge guy with Smith from Appling, who I think really had a interesting, eye-opening camp at Georgia. Morissette, let me stick with the defensive lineman. You got Smith and West right now, but they are on a fair amount of defensive linemen in this class. I mean, Matt talked the other week, about 2 days ago, to Jaden Wayne. And that's another 5-star guy that Georgia's going to pursue on the defensive line. So this is not at all over with for Georgia in their time recruiting. I mean, this happens. I have never been someone who gets so overwhelmed by someone committing or decommitting. You got to be careful about over celebrating things, because this is the beginning of a process, and this particular process, and again, I think Bear Alexander is correct, it has just started. Because things in this program and across the country are just opening up. And this past weekend being the first weekend that you could go visit folks, and we've got a long way to go, not just for Alexander, but for everybody else. You had Oscar Delp was there this weekend, the running back from Mississippi. There were a lot of guys who were in Athens, and we've had a lot of traffic over on the site and learning about what happened this weekend. I've got a lot more coming. I do want to quickly say a word about Stuckey's. Listen, I don't know if you were like me when you were a kid and you see that sign and you knew you were about to get a pecan roll. I'm not going to embarrass myself by eating this on camera yet, but it takes you back to your childhood. It really is Americana, and I would encourage everyone, when you're driving along, you see that, or even if you want to take a slight detour to go see it, if it's a couple miles out of the way, these are awesome stores, and they are coming back strong. Kirby's going to have to come back strong from this news. I do wonder if he already knew that this was happening. And I mean, if Matt is aware of how complicated and difficult this is going to be, then Kirby knows. And the good news for Georgia is, and you can see this already, there are a lot of D linemen that they're after that are high-level guys. They have identified guys, high-level D-line guys, and that's something that they're attacking. But you never want to lose someone you had in the fold. And that's what happened this weekend with Bear. But you look, I'm just going to really quick globally look at their situation. I mean, you've got a consensus, what is this? 7 guys in the top 100. Groves Killebrew was really, you got, again, Bowie from Bainbridge, Starks, who is maybe a little undervalued even, Gunner, who was there this weekend, Walker from North Carolina, West from Tifton, Groves Killebrew from Brookwood, Cedartown, C.J. Washington, a linebacker that a lot of people think maybe could be a little bit undervalued. You got Jordan James from from Murfreesboro. Morissette was in Athens this weekend, really taking it in. He seemed to have a lot of fun. Darius Smith from Baxley down in Appling has raw ability. And then I don't know enough to talk about the punter. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know a lot about that or that situation. But you're going to see the Wild Wild West over these next few months. And we don't know what to expect because these kids are going to be traveling so much. And what's the word? Rediscovering their options. It's not always easy to break up with your girlfriend, right? And that's what happened this weekend with Barry Alexander. And I think the reason he did it is the right reason, frankly. But that could happen more and more, and Georgia could benefit from that. We're just going to have to see. There are a ton of defensive linemen in this class that are really good, particularly in the area. And that's the part that Kirby and them are going to have to figure out. Is Bear still a priority? And then if he's not, where do you go from there? If he's not as much of a priority, where do you go from there? How do you fill out the depth chart over here? You have 14 guys on scholarship, 2 of which are returning seniors, so they don't count. So you got 12 guys. You're going to lose 3, we know. And then you probably will lose Walker as well, Trayvon Walker. So you're going to need to fill this in. I mean, Jalen Carter's good. I mean, I loved Logue myself from Tennessee. But there are some, you're going to need to fill this in. It's definitely an important spot for Georgia, Kirby, and the Georgia Bulldogs. Let's talk about it more over on Dog Post, DAWGPOST. We'll see you over on the website.